must have a Coca-Cola, and that's how you will sell. You take Coca-Cola to people without essential, the sugary liquid, who cares whether you drink it or not. But here also, this was a habit that we did not have in India. So how do you make that habit into a more approachable, accessible location? You take it to them and keep the pricing such that anywhere from upper lower class to lower middle class to middle class can afford it. Okay? That is not to say the rich class can't go there. As against some of our competitors chose to do the other way around, saying that we will build this, and this model is 300 square feet, 2 chairs, replicable, 30 lakhs capex for every clinic, Main Street, it doesn't have to be High Street, Main Street, visible, that's all. So it's very simple, notion. And the other people decided that they wanted to build the high end of dental clinic, including cosmetic. So while they chose to address 2% of the population with high value offerings, we chose to offer lower value to 50% of the public. And I'm assuming the rest have no even access, not even this thing. And that has been our model, red bus thing. We want to get to lot many more people because they don't depend on the 1%, 2% money class, which is very fickle, very brand conscious, and I have to spend a hell of a lot of money to build their loyalty. So, coming back to our first slide.
Any questions?
Anybody has any questions? Just because you have the mic.
Okay. So, near the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that you thought it was really important to be an employee first before an entrepreneur, get some industry experience. But nowadays, what a new emerging trend in IIT is that many people are going straight into entrepreneurship, starting new companies, working on new products. So, do you just think that it's a new era, a new age where we do have the information and mentorship to do it successfully, or do you think we should also be in the industry?
Well, maybe people are smarter than I was at that time. Okay? They know what it is to be an entrepreneur. But I know that most of the time, we have now 19 companies under our portfolio. And I can tell you, besides, and we obviously fund entrepreneurs because I believe that they understand the technology. The main crux of the business, they have to understand. I can only advise. What they completely lack is organization building capability. Okay? What do I need? Do I need an HR person? Do I need a finance officer? Do I need X, Y, Z operations person? These things don't come naturally to them. It's not that they are idiots or I'm not passing any judgment on anybody. All I am saying is that my experience of having to have to report to a boss, I think made me a better boss at the time when I became a boss. For sure, I think that if you believe you can do it, do it. But I would say that 1 year of something, some experience, will not hurt you. Okay. So I'm saying, how many of you want to be entrepreneurs? Others are here for the ride.
No, they joined the team.
Okay. Oh, they will. Okay. So the guys who raise their hands are the leaders. The others are going to join some other team. But all I'm saying is that, do think about that. If you believe you can do it yourself, so be it. Okay? And that sort of brings me to, well, I don't want to skip my slide, so, sorry. Just here, I'll repeat the question.
So, what is the due diligence you do before investing in a company? And what are some of, hello. What is the due diligence you do before investing in a company? And what are some of the red flags for you in terms of, okay, if this is the case, then I certainly will not invest in these guys?
Well, if you talk about due diligence as legal and financial due diligence, zero, because there is nothing to do diligence on. It is just a startup. So what can I do due diligence on? So I think perhaps the answer to your question will come now in our slides. Is what am I looking for? What are we looking for? Okay. You come with an idea. First thing I want to make sure that it is not a momentum investing idea. That is, when I say it is not a momentum investing, it is not the 100th e-commerce idea. Okay. And that is why I chose to give you the examples of Red Bus and this thing. That there is a certain amount of uniqueness that you have to discover. Okay? Once you discover, us entrepreneurs have this whole belief system that what we consider right is right, no matter what anybody else says. But it's extremely important for you to validate what you think is right with 10 people that you trust, that will tell you the honest truth. And 10 people that are out, you can find from friends, father or whatnot, to validate this idea. And when I talk about validation, remember that unlike in the US, that I had first time experience, and here when I had a career of about 10 years of selling before I became more overall in charge and so on and so forth. In India, you go to somebody to say whether will you buy this, this is the literature and all that. There is nobody in India who says no. Literature gave them. And we promptly come home and put it in our funnel list. I have a sales, okay. Till they figure out what it costs is. Okay. Everybody wants to know. So you have to probe. What I was trying to say is that when you have an idea, I want to do this, you have to probe. It's not just one piece, this is a good idea. No. You have to probe. So we will do that ourselves from our experience. Let me say that it is not necessary that VCs are right. VCs are also, it can be equally done. But we do bring some collective experience. So there is a hope, there is a chance that we may have seen this before and we may tell you that, hey guys, think about it differently. Think about a different idea. This is the 9th deal I'm seeing in the space and so on. So that is okay. So that's the first part. Now, if it is an interesting idea, what do we say? Okay, what do we ask? How unique it is, one. Okay. What kind of innovation are you going to apply to this idea? Because uniqueness doesn't last for long. Because there is somebody somewhere in San Francisco or in Delhi or wherever, is also thinking of that. None of us necessarily know that. So you have to be thinking that how am I going to change this over time? What innovations will I add to this and so on and so forth. Yeah, no, it's like innate, innovative, feasible. Good. The question is, one question you ask, how important a problem are you solving? What is the big pain point am I solving? The bigger the pain point that you are solving and you are able to solve, higher the chances are of your success. If you are trying to solve something that is nice to have, that much more time, energy and money, that you will not succeed. But if you are solving a pain point, your acceptance from a customer, from a VC, whatever, will be very rapid. So when I say feasibility, can somebody want to answer me what is meant by, people have always said that idea, you can put any percentage, idea is 5%, execution is 95%, to be 10%, 90%, doesn't matter. When I say feasibility, what does it mean?
That as far as possible, there should be a defined plan. As far as possible, there should be a defined plan as to how to go about that. Implying you know how to do it, that means it's feasible. At least you think you know how to do it, and it's to a certain extent clear.
Correct.
It can't be completely in the air that I would have something.
Correct. Whether it is, and hence to draw a conclusion that whether it is feasible to be executed or not. Okay. And which is where I go back, I said an example saying that it's very simple for people to believe, think that, getting 1% of X as the customer base is very simple. It seems very small. But the point, stop me if I'm going beyond the time. That's never the point. The point is that you start with some hypothesis that yes, for my company to succeed, I need 10,000 customers. 10,000 customers because I'm going to charge 5 lakhs or whatever it is. And I'll become a 500 crore company or whatever number it goes. Now the question is, okay, where will I find these 10,000 people? Are they going to, because I think I have a great idea, they're going to line up on my front door? No. I'm going to have to put a sales force together. I am going to, because I am selling something which is 5 lakhs and more or whatnot, my sales cycles will be long, and hence I will have to build some level of working capital, because without that I won't be able to survive, because my lag between revenue and expense will be long. Will I need to be in 10 cities to get 10,000 people? If I have to be in 10 cities to bring 10,000 customers, that is 10 times the cost of being in one city. So that makes the project expensive. And I'm not saying expensive in a way that is good or bad, it is just what it is. Okay. So you need to validate this, that which way will I have to get 60 sales people to get 10,000 customers. Okay. Now if I have to get 60 sales people, that's a hell of a lot of salary I have to pay. Where will that money come from? And if you go to a VC saying, give me $5 million because I have this grand plan, it just won't work. Because nobody will believe you. Nobody will risk that kind of money. It's not about belief or not belief. Nobody will risk that money. Because there is no proof of the pudding. Okay. So feasibility is one, you go get your idea validated. Second is look at the plan in 50 different ways. You can do your spreadsheet, then go back and reverse engineer. In order to get to this, what all will I have to do? And whether that is feasible to be done or not. And I can guarantee you, if I look at 100 plans a month, Okay? I would say that 70 of them have not thought through these things. Okay? Because for an entrepreneur who's passionate, and I understand that we would all like to believe that we have a brilliant idea, and that doesn't need selling. People will come. Okay? If I build a game, forget if I'm not even done, let's say forget B2B for a minute. Even if it's B2C, if I build a game, I am convinced that this will go like, everybody will download, I will charge $1 and I will, it will be $5 million overnight. Just, again, you have to go back and rethink that you may be right, you may be completely wrong. Do I have to build 200 games in order for one game to succeed? Or just one game because I think it's a great game will succeed? Many people come to us with ideas which are nice. I mean, again, please, I don't want to be, disrespectful to any entrepreneur because that's the passion I respect most. But if you want to succeed in whatever your definition of success is, please spend some time thinking about all the parameters that will determine that success. Okay. This is a long road. We have not seen, in India for example, from starting a company to exit, on an average, is 8 to 9 years. So remember that you will have to continuously execute on the plan for 8 to 9 years. In that you will build the team, you will build technology, you will do lots of things that you have not even thought of. You may also, that is another very required trait of entrepreneurs, is that you have to be flexible. You cannot, I don't want to say you cannot be married because divorce is not so good, but you cannot be obsessive about anything. So obsession is very dangerous. Yes, up to a point you can be dangerous, obsessed. But beyond that, if 10 people tell you that this is a bloody stupid idea, okay, learn from it. But that is not to say that the underlying technology doesn't have a use, but it may have a different use. From an empirical evidence, I can tell you that most of the companies that we started with what the idea was and what the company in the end did was perhaps 50% different. In some cases, completely different, but different than what it was intended to be. So, give yourself some time, and this is the most important part. Please remember that assessing feasibility is the most important part. When you go to a VC, if you say this thing that 0.5% and whatnot, no. If you say 0.5%, which is fine, but as long as that follows through with a logical argument as to how you're going to acquire those customers. And remember, technology by itself is not the answer. You need customers. That is how life starts in a company, is revenue. So, you have to remain focused on where this money is going to come from so that you can spend this money and hopefully save some so that you can reinvest in that. Many, in the bubble days, internet bubble days, or people tend to think, and that is where seed fund sort of differs, that we tell all our entrepreneurs, that do not think that after our investment, there is another investor who is ready to fund you. So don't make a plan based on some assumption that 3 years from now I will raise $5 more million. Not because you may have done a very good job, but 2008 can happen again and all the money may disappear. So one of our theses is, to answer part of your question, is that that with the money we both sit down, we like the idea, then we sort of rework the plan. So within the 18 to 24 months, the company should strive to become operationally positive or breaking. Because you don't know what will happen. And it will also help you build a discipline that money, just because you raise some money from somebody, it's not there to be spent widely. Okay? It is to be thought through and spread like my dentist entrepreneur. Of course, he's the other extreme. That if I tell him that you have money in the bank, do some serious advertising, he says no. My inserts in the newspaper, which is probably the least expensive way to advertise, work the best. I don't want to go to TV. I don't want to build a brand. Okay? Because I want to tell that customer who is reading the newspaper that, my friend, if you don't look after your teeth, blah, 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 blah will happen. You have a implant deal today. If you come between 4 and 6, this will be your business. So, so disciplining about managing money is important. Many people who think that whether they raise money as debt or equity, don't feel responsible towards that money. And that is something that we inculcate in our training, inculcate in our entrepreneurs. That whether, if things don't work out, we will close the company, that's fine. But just because it is equity doesn't mean you don't owe somebody something. That is, you owe somebody hard work, some best attempt to succeed at whatever you started. And we fund, the classical ratio of 30% of the companies will give me higher than 7x return, between 7 to 15x. 30% of the companies will give us 2 to 5x returns on our capital, and 30% of the company will be zero, will be write-off. So these are all given, historically that has happened. Some smarter and luckier VCs have had, perhaps some variations in terms of success. And I do believe that luck has a role to play. Of course, you have to do your work, but he wants to give you a paper. Luck has a role. I know that when we exited in Red Bus, we received 3 times the size of the fund from one deal. Okay. And we were not even in the market for selling that company. It was somebody who came on their own and said, we want to buy this company. Here's the deal. Offer the deal. A deal that we never thought we would get at that time. Okay? So, it's luck, being right place at the right time. But, okay. So, let's go to the next. Okay. Now, quick. So, I guess some of this stuff, you have to ask the question, what is your differentiated? How crowded is the market? It's just, and please don't be copycat of something that works in the US does not necessarily have to work here. Not that it won't, but there is no guarantee that it will work. Okay? You have to, there are many things that people do, which are, one of the companies we, for example, funded, they did an excellent job on SMS search. So what he did do was to take away the internet issue away from a person who does not have a smartphone. So you actually searched, you wrote something on SMS, their algorithm picked that question up, went and did the internet search and give you a response. Cinema schedule, falana, dikna. It was, So that's the Indianization of something that you want to do. But SMS matters. This whole BISCOL business is an Indian invention, you know that, right? So is it crowded? Is there a large market with growth potential? I dealt with which is the market you are going to deal with? Are you going to deal with the 500 million people, or are you going to do something that touches 30 million people? It's a choice. Neither is right or wrong. Okay? And what is your differentiator? Even if you are doing similar thing, you were to start a Flipkart tomorrow, you have to ask the question, forget all the funding and all that. What will you do differently? Okay. For example, there are 10 red bus equivalents in the country today. But they are by far the highest. And from an exit perspective, it is very clear that in India today, we have very few avenues for exit. Because unlike the US, we don't have a NASDAQ type of exchange. So you cannot take the company public to BSE because they are too small. B, there is very little local domestic M&A. Corporates do not yet invest and buy local innovation because we still think that, and I can tell you one example of a friend who runs the largest education company in this country, asking him, they had a relationship with one of our industry companies, and they were sending their training courses to colleges and schools and all that. They were very happy. So I said, why don't you buy this company? So he said, no, this is good. I said, do you have a cell in your company, now you're very large, that looks for innovation in it? He said, I've tried this 5 times. Every time that brother comes and tells me that, no, sir, you don't have to buy this, you can develop it yourself. Which they never do. But this whole not invented here syndrome still exists. So it is very difficult. And hence, whatever company you build, and if you desire to have an exit, you have to believe that you have to be the top of the heap in leadership in that sense. Because what are the potential exit is a strategic investor from outside, strategic investor hopefully domestically, and or another private equity investor who will give you growth money. They'll do it not for the 4th and the 5th and the 6th guy. They will do it for the 1st and the 2nd and best the 3rd. Because the market yet doesn't have depth. Okay, Flipkart, Snapdeal, Myntra, Jabong, you see how much money is being spent just on customer loyalty. Make My Trip still doesn't make money. Okay, so customer loyalty is still a challenge. And and sometimes you should go and listen to Google's view of India.